here because the outside world rejects you.
My calculations are correct. We're gonna see some serious shit.
Shall we play playing game?
I'm a nerd. Pretty proud of it.
Learn it, know it, live it.
What up, everybody? It is episode 56. I am the D. This is the podcast of pain. I gotta change all my passwords for all my shit and make sure it's all the same shit because I'm just not satisfied with the quality of life shit going on over here. I'm just not. Already got a comment. Silver Spear. I hope that's not like Silver Spear. There we go. What up? We are here. We're live. We're going. What's happening? All right. Podcast of pain, episode 56. Quality of life is not what it needs to be, but I'm here. So in a moment, I have a special guest of Layman's Terms from the ATSW fam. Keith Layman is going to be joining me. We're going to celebrate a favorite movie of ours. In the meantime, how's everybody doing? Awesome. I'm going to get these comments out of here because I don't need that shit in my window. All right. I'm excited. This is the last Kane Hodder movie. We can move on to like the coolest shit in the series. I got my alcohol. I got my water. I got my I got some other good shit. There he is. There's the man. Keith Layman. What's happening, sir?
Hey, man. How you doing?
Not too bad. Thanks for joining me. This is a favorite movie of yours as well as mine. Hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Is that the VHS?
It's VHS.
Holy shit.
Yeah, man.
He's going old school on us. Now, for all the kids out there watching, VHS tapes were like the previous to DVD format that us old folks used to watch our movies on. All right. Roll Tide. All right. So,
Tricky me if you got him.
let's just jump in. If you just jump in, man. What do you want to like? How do you want to do this?
Are we recording now?
We are recording now.
All right, cool. Let's get started. So I never saw this in the movie theater. I was too young. This came out in '88, so I was 8 years old. But I remember sitting down with my family and watching Part 7 on HBO. So
With your family?
With my family, my mom, my dad, and my brother. And my dad hated horror movies. Okay? And we watched some serious horror movies back in the day. We saw Dead Alive. We saw Pumpkinhead. We saw just Nightmare on Elm Street 3. Yeah, man, that's what we did. And the old man hated horror movies, man.
Man, that's messed up. Yeah, if I wanted to watch horror movies, I had to do that shit by myself because my dad, Marine or not, did not fuck with that scary shit. I gotta go outside tonight, man. Fuck that.
The funny thing is, he hates the horror movies, but he'll watch Dracula no problem. It's weird, you know. So,
how did this one in particular become your favorite? Is that the one that started you in your fandom with Friday the 13th?
You know what? I think so, because then I had to go back and watch everything else. You know, then I had to watch, you know, the first one, the second one, the third one, and then you know, Part 6. So, okay, how's it get in the lake? Oh, it's Part 6. Then we go into Part 7, and then when I'm old enough, when did Part 9 come out? It came out like what, 89, 90. You know, when he goes to Manhattan. You know, but I got to talk to you about something. We have to skip with Jason Goes to Hell. The guy who plays Steven, you don't know who that is, do you?
What was the name?
The guy who played Steven, his real name is John D. LeMay.
No, I don't know.
Okay, he was in a series called Friday the 13th, the series.
Okay.
Did you ever see it?
No, I didn't.
But do you know what it is?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Oh, okay. I was going to say because John D. LeMay was in the show, and that's how they tied both the franchise and the TV show together. The guy who,
You got me looking this guy up.
no, take your time. But the writer who did Part 8, he wrote for the show.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah, I never did watch the show. What was that on? Like, what network was that on?
Sci-Fi.
Okay, that's why.
It was in Sci-Fi, and then back in the day when I was growing up, it was on like Fox or something. If I can find her right here, please excuse my appearance.
So that was
my
main. That didn't have anything to do.
No, it didn't.
We all got that shit going.
No, here's the thing. But it was a Canadian-based show. The only reason why they did Friday the 13th is just to gain notoriety. You know, it's this guy. He had a antique shop. He made a deal with the devil to curse all the items in the shop and then sell them. But at the last minute, he backed out of the deal, so the devil killed him. Okay.
Yeah.
He willed the shop to his two niece and nephew. They never met, you know. So John D. LeMay and so some girl named Robley. She was like a model. Excuse me. So they sold everything, okay, not knowing that everything was cursed by the devil. And it's like, oh shit. This guy comes in, says, "Well, where's Jack?" Says, "Jack is dead." It's like, "Who are you?" It's like, "Well, we're niece and nephew, and we're gonna split." It's like, you can't split. You sold all these objects. You have to get them back. So each object was cursed in a certain way. Like they had Jack the Ripper's knife. He had to kill, but it recharged so you can perform miracles. Boxing gloves. You touch your shadow. The shadow boxer will come alive and kill someone. A scarecrow that you would put a picture of someone you hate. The scarecrow comes alive and kills that person. Just crazy off the wall shit, man. It's worth your time. Go check it out.
All right, so I'm gonna put that on the to-do list right now.
But no Jason, unfortunately. But it kind of makes up.
I think that was kind of what scared me off too. Like I heard the name Friday the 13th, no Jason. So it kind of reminded me of this is why I still to this day haven't seen Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, because there's no Michael Myers. But it's kind of the story kind of gets intertwined later on if you think about it. So
but so for years that was always shunned. But now, yeah, man. But now Season of the Witch is just a really good movie. It's a standalone movie by itself. And that's what Carpenter wanted to do. He wanted to make something like that, like Halloween, but not with Michael Myers.
Right.
But, you know, he didn't want, but something happened. He got a new director for Part 4. So they had to introduce Michael Myers. So.
Oh, shit. So I want to go ahead and introduce this guy. This is my Jason from Part 7, done by Mike Skaggs. He's out of Ohio, and eventually I'm going to get him on this podcast. But he's the guy that kind of sort of got me out of collecting Funko Pops. All handmade. He's got the real chain on here. He's got all kinds of different versions. He's got Michael Myers, like anything horror related. Nosferatu. I think he's got Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers, Captain Spaulding. He's got all kinds of cool shit. So I'm gonna have to post his stuff in the description. But that's that's Part 7 Jason, man. I would say that's probably my favorite iteration of Jason Voorhees.
Yeah, but I went off the tangent. I'm sorry. How did you get into Part 7?
I think I always watched Friday the 13th by myself, either on HBO or Skinamax late at night. I became familiar with the hockey mask killer at Camp Crystal Lake.
Yeah.
7, it just seemed like more scary to me because Kane Hodder jumped on board. He kind of gave the character dimension, you know. I became a Kane Hodder snob, if you will. I completely said, fuck those other movies. It's all about Kane Hodder, until I got older and realized how goofy these fucking movies were, with the exception of 7. I'll give all the grace and all the points to part 7 here.
What? When do you think the hookiness started? Do you think it started in like part 6 or part 7?
That's exactly what I was thinking too. Because up until part 6, Jason was technically a human being. Just, he had, I don't want to say retarded strength, basically. He was just a mongoloid out in the woods, killing off people that were trampling on his ground,
Yeah.
Then he went to zombie land, turned into a zombie, and I think that's kind of where it started getting a little goofy.
The new director went to Paramount and watched all 5 of the Friday the 13th movies, and he's like, dude, I can do whatever I want. This is like James Bond. So, because if you ever watch those James Bond movies, there's no continuity. It's just James Bond doing spy shit and fucking chicks. Yeah. So that's why in the beginning of the movie, it does that eye thing and see Jason throw a knife at it. It's that nuance to, James Bond. Like, this is, so I think part 6 was the start of the kind of goofy, but I mean, you're introduced to a zombie Jason, and he's like, a straight up fucking juggernaut.
Yeah, I like that. It straight up is a resurrection of the Jason character with part 6.
Yeah.
I do appreciate, because Mike on the last episode was talking about doing a Jason like James Bond, where there is no continuity. It's just a single go story. Yeah. I'm totally down with that. I would like to take Jason out of Crystal Lake. The part is, what would you do with him? That's the thing. Like, where would you go? Space. I've heard, like, throw him in the Ice Age, like during the wintertime, which they've done in some fan films, which were dope. Don't hike in the woods. Don't hike in the snow. Those are really well made. Really kept my attention well. If you get them, check them out. But yeah, I would be totally cool to just completely disregard the storyline altogether and just do single play one shots.
Okay. The only continuity that you see in these movies is the Tommy trilogy of 4, 5, and 6. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the only character that comes back, because, when they did the movies, they came out every year during the 80s, and they just, it was like the Saw of the 80s. Right. So they'd always ask for the actors, like, hey, we're making a new Friday the 13th. You want to come back? They're like, no. And they'd had to get like whole new people, So it's just like a bunch of no-name people just getting sliced.
That whole makeup process, I heard, was really bad for a lot of people. I believe it was Steve Dash in part 2. He had gotten burns around his eyes because of the makeup and shit like that. Other people had their own little thing. As a matter of fact, for part 7, they were actually going to go back to C.J. Graham from part 6 and invite him to play Jason again.
He didn't want to do it.
But the director, John Buechler, had worked with Kane Hodder on a movie called Prison, and was just so impressed with how he did in makeup. And more so, he was impressed that Kane Hodder was eating live worms on the set for this film. He was like, I think we should get this guy to play Jason this time around. And it turned out to be like the best thing for his career. It was pretty wild.
He's so awesome in that movie. He just, like you say, he just brings life into the character. Like, Jason's fucking pissed, just the way he fucking moves and breathes, and how he snaps off the court. Like, what the fuck is it? What the fuck are you doing?
That's what I mean. Like, a lot of people, when you say Jason, they just see a guy in a mask. But the way that Kane Hodder explained it, like, you can't emote your face, you can't speak, you have to do it with your body. And if you go through 7, 8, 9, and 10, the way that he has a very methodical way of moving and breathing and just functioning, like he is Jason. It's pretty badass. Everybody else is just a guy in a mask,
Yeah, that's pretty much about it. Did you want to go through the storyline or no?
Yeah, absolutely. I did.
Because I
did the whole plot like longhand. So however you want to go about this, it's fine with me. Yeah, dude, it was such a pain in the ass because I watched Jason X, Jason Goes to Hell, Jason Takes Manhattan, all in long form, and just watched them over and over again. And took meticulous notes. It was such a pain in the ass. But, that way I don't miss anything. We can talk about specific scenes, things that bug the fuck out of you, however you want to do it. This movie came out May 13th, 1988. We start with a retrospective of the legend that is Jason Voorhees, including clips and kills from the previous films, including Part 6, Jason Lives, where Jason's body is left chained at the bottom of Crystal Lake. So we already discussed the nerd tidbit. A young Tina, Jennifer Banco, is running away from her family lake house after a physical altercation between her parents. Tina jumps into a boat when her father follows and tries to stop her. Tina's telekinetic powers rise to the surface. Tina accidentally collapses the dock that her father is standing on. He collapses into the lake and dies. So, man, that's fucked up. If you could have a special power, what special power would you have? Excuse me.
I don't know.
I would definitely want telekinesis.
I want telekinesis too because my fucking back hurts. But
fucking adulting, getting old sucks.
I know, seriously, man. I don't know. The healing factor is pretty cool. Shit, what a good teleportation, flight, all that shit. Super strength. I gotta go with
man, the healing would suck too. Because I've seen many iterations of that where, let's say you're immortal and you get buried and you have to keep dying and you're stuck underground. That shit would suck.
Yeah, really.
And then if you were, you had your healing powers like, say, Wolverine, and you kept getting shot or stabbed, it never gets easier. It still hurts.
Yeah, but you're regenerating, but you're in so much pain, or being torn apart because you have an adamantium skeleton, So that is a fucked up way.
What do you think of that upcoming movie, Deadpool and Wolverine coming out?
I'm not gonna watch it in the movie theater. I want to watch it, but I don't know. My kids ain't gonna watch that. We saw Inside Out 2 last night. So
how was that?
It was good. I liked it. It was the same thing. It's just a bunch of all the emotions get cast out of the main control center and new emotions come in. And it's just, anxiety is just trying to take over Riley, and they're just trying to save the girl. And it's just it's hard to explain. I would just say, just watch it with the girls. You'll get it,
Oh, no, I totally get it. I've seen TikTok clips, and it really strikes a chord with adults. Because we feel that shit. Getting older,
the kid
feel that shit.
At the end of the movie, the kid literally has an anxiety attack, and the other emotions are trying to stop it. So I'm like that hit me right in the feels. I'm like, shit, I understand what that's going through.
I think I've seen spoofs of that where they involve depression and alcoholism. Hit me right in the field. If Disney let the adults make a Inside Out movie.
Alcoholism would just take over.
So we fast forward several years. Tina, now played by Lar Park Lincoln, is a teenager traveling with her mother back to the old lake house, meeting Dr. Cruz, played by Terry Kaiser. I know a lot of people out there who's that? It's Bernie. It's Bernie from Weekend at Bernie's. He's a therapist.
I have notes. It's just all Bernie.
Oh, go ahead.
Bernie's wearing another sports coat. What's going on here?
Okay, they go out to the lake house for a therapy retreat, and she still struggles with the guilt over her father. Dr. Cruz began some experiments specifically meant to call upon Tina's powers and help her gain control of them. But in actuality, Dr. Cruz, Bernie, is using these experiments to exploit Tina's abilities for his own ends. So he wants to put her on a TV show and be the doctor that fucking discovered her and all that bullshit, At one point, Tina becomes frustrated with the therapy and runs down to the dock. She has flashbacks of watching her father die. She wishes that she could undo everything and bring him back, but she wakes up Jason instead. Nerd bitch fit. I mentioned this about the continuity, and I kind of fucked myself over when I did the order that I did these episodes in, because it's not continuous. Just things about the lake, and this all goes back to like the different directors and different studios that have control of the property at that time, so they're not worried about continuity. But just like the lake, if you watch part 6, Jason's in the middle of the lake at the end of the film. This one,
He's right at the dock.
He's right at the dock. It's a completely different property almost. And I would sit and think to myself, like, all right, well, let's say they tore the fucking camp down, right? Cool. And they built 2 giant lake houses in its place. Nobody went down underwater and surveyed this fucking shit to see this body chained up down there and be like, hey, we gotta do something down here.
You want to do something about this?
And not only that, because now Tina's dad's down there, so there's 2 bodies down at the bottom of this fucking lake that nobody caught. What the fuck?
You ever see those TikTok videos? And it's the diver. He's going in the water and he's looking, and all of a sudden he sees a dead body. That would fucking freak me out.
Absolutely. There was that one town that actually had that temporary statue of Jason Voorhees in the lake at the bottom of the lake, chained up. And
it's
I think
in Minnesota.
There were too many. Yeah. Is it still down there?
I hope so. That'd be awesome.
But for some reason, somebody bitched about it and they had to take it out.
Oh, fucking pussies.
I know. That's right. That's what I said.
Goddamn pussies. Who gives a shit? Fuck you, millennials.
Let's see. All right. Good shit. So now we're meeting Michael and his girlfriend, Jane. Their car's broken down in the middle of the woods. And much to her dismay, Jane has to reveal that Michael's cousin, Nick, can help with the car in the morning as they are on their way to a surprise party for Michael. Michael excuses himself to take a leak, and Jane is stabbed in the throat by Jason. So, first kill of the fucking movie.
He gets right back to work, don't he?
Hell fucking yeah. He stabbed her right in the throat with a stake. You know, she was stuck there, suspended there. Pulls that fucker out, she falls, and he just starts chase after Michael. Shit. Michael comes back to witness Jane pinned to a tree just as Jason starts chasing Michael through the woods. Jason launches a metal spike into Michael's back and hurls his body to the ground. I also want to bring up that Jason Voorhees, the character, is such a methodical being. Like, it's a game to him. Like, he's an interior decorator for dead bodies. You know what I mean? Because you notice, like, they notice at a very specific time. And as soon as they gasp, that's when Jason sidesteps the tree and like goes after him next. You know, it's very methodical. Like, you can have a body up in the rafters and then all of a sudden it starts bleeding at a very specific time. You know, they get the reaction. Jason comes up from behind, stabs somebody through the chest. It's a sick, twisted game.
It's like at the end of the movie where you just see all the dead bodies. The girl is like walking around, and all of a sudden, all these bodies show up. Like, what the fuck? How did these guys get here?
Yeah, like, when the hell does he have time to do all this shit?
Yeah,
you know, there's a lot of kills where he makes a mess. Blood splatters everywhere. So Jason has to know where the mop is, where the bleach is, where to stack these bodies. He's like playing what's like a good creeper game, like Metal Gear. He has to be very methodical.
Yeah.
Where he places these bodies and when. Otherwise,
yeah.
It always cracked me up. Let's see here. Where are we at? Okay, at the house next door, there's a group of teens who I would never have hung out with, is decorating for this party. Not at all. I'm going to go into a lot of like bitching and moaning about all these characters shortly. So buckle up. After a brief interaction earlier in the day, Nick decides to go next door and invite Tina to the house for the festivities. After some awkward interaction and having a vision of Jason murdering Michael, Tina freaks out and runs off. Meanwhile, Jason eradicates another couple camping in the woods in such a fashion only suited by the Kane Hodder. So this is the one where there's a couple camping. Homeboy goes to excuse himself to go cut some wood. I think he gets stabbed with a machete. And
Yeah.
his girlfriend gets naked. She's in her sleeping bag. Okay, you big hunk of a man, come on and get me. And then from the other end, here comes this machete tearing through. Jason grabs her in the fucking in the sleeping bag, drags her about 10 feet, and then whacks her against a tree. One of the coolest fucking kills.
That's
I think that's another reason why I really like Kane Hodder, because his kills are just so ingenious.
That's the best kill of the entire franchise.
You think so?
I know so.
We're gonna have to go back and, like, once I do all these fucking films, and I will eventually do all these films, that's gonna be an episode too. So, like, the best kills,
Amen.
The hottest chicks. We're gonna rank the films, 1 through 11 or whatever, however many there are. We're gonna do a lot of shit with this franchise. I can tell.
The best.
So let's see
the best
here.
dances.
Oh, don't even bring up Crispin Glover. You guys haven't seen that for that episode. For the episode for was that Friday 4? I'm gonna put that fucker on here. I'm gonna let everybody in its glory see Crispin Glover, better known as George McFly, and his wacky, awkward ass dance. Jesus Christ.
He's a weird cat, man.
In real life, he is a very weird cat. Like, for a second, I almost felt bad for all the bullshit that he went through with Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale for the Back to the Future shit. And then you see other interviews at other points in his career, and I'm like, no, he's just a weird motherfucker.
He's a weird cat, man. That's it.
After a big freak out with Bernie, Tina runs into Nick and tells him that she's had a vision of his cousin Michael being murdered. Next door, Russell and Sandra run down to the lake for some skinny dip in action. Sandra runs down into the lake while Russell gets undressed. Jason steps out from a tree and takes Russell out with an axe. That's a fucking brutal shot with that axe. Sandra is still underwater. When Sandra resurfaces and sees Russell's body, Jason appears in the lake. Like, this is just like, he just times this shit just right. Like, okay, wait a minute. Okay, now I'm going to go into the lake. Now I'm going to go into the lake and get this bitch. All right, so Jason appears in the lake, drags Sandra down, and drowns her. Back at the house, tension and tempers rise as the party is still waiting for Michael. Maddie gets all dialed up. Ben and Kate are mending their lover's spat. Melissa attempts to make Nick jealous by flirting with Eddie, and Nick is desperately trying to find the still missing Michael.
Melissa's a bitch.
There's a lot of shit. Melissa's a bitch. Maddie's fucking kind of goofy looking. Ben and Kate, I have to stop, man. They're the two token black kids in this film. Ben and Kate do not sound like black names at all. I think they tried too hard to, like, not make it super obvious that they're the black characters.
Prince has more testosterone than Ben.
Ben and Kate. Jesus.
Ben and Kate. Wait, what? Who wrote this?
Dr. Cruz wanders off into the woods and discovers Michael's body mangled in a tree. He's like an interior decorator, like a motherfucker, too. I think I mentioned that about Jason Voorhees.
Yep.
So creative. He returns to the house, completely plays off the dead body he just saw and gets into a heated argument with Mrs. Shepard when Mrs. Shepard discovers Dr. Cruz's true intentions for Tina. Tina overhears the tail end of the argument, which includes her being committed to a mental hospital. Tina's like, fuck that, grabs her mother's car keys and takes off. I don't know where the fuck she thinks she's going to go.
Yeah.
But, she has a vision while driving of her mother being killed next. Tina crashes the car, ditches it. And now back at the house, the now passable Maddie goes outside looking for Pothead David and stumbles upon Russell's body. Like, she didn't just, oh, hey, what's that? Homie flatback bumped out of a tree. This is just fucked up. She's looking for an earring.
My ass.
She's looking for an earring, and then all of a sudden this body just fucking straight up back body drops out of a tree. Man, Maddie runs off screaming, but not into the house where all her fucking friends are, where all the people are, but into the nearby tool shed that, to my knowledge, she hasn't been in before. So I don't know where the fuck she thought she was running, but she's just like, fuck it, I'm going to start trying doors. It could have been a room of death for all she knows. I myself would have freaked out and run back in where the people are. Dude, we got to call the cops. Something's going on. Don't leave this room. And like just this new, completely different surrounding for her. Let's see. I like the fact that Jason sidesteps a tree as soon as the scream hits, like he's Bam Margera waiting for Ape and Phil to fall into a hole. Like, gotcha, bitch. Jason follows her into the shed, and despite Maddie's best efforts to evade it and stay quiet, Jason bursts through the wall and takes Maddie out with a sickle. Now, this is something I was getting ready to fucking make note of, but I actually wrote it here. Most anything that Jason has killed someone with until maybe Friday Part 8, my dad has had that same implement in our garage growing up, including the pitchfork, the machete, and this fucking sickle. Why? I don't know. But, you know, I would always point them out like, Dad's got that in the fucking garage. I've seen that. So, yeah, that's my childhood for you guys. Mrs. Shepard and Bernie take off in Bernie's car to look for Tina, who is now running out in the woods, and she runs into Nick. Mrs. Shepard spots her car and frantically runs off into the woods yelling for her daughter. Fuck, man. Bernie is trying to tell her without telling her, like, dude, there's some dead shit going on in the woods. You know, stay with me. But he doesn't say it, so now it's a game of cat and mouse with all the adults and the teens, you know. Jason sizes up his next target. Go ahead.
Did he change his sports coat?
Did you notice that?
Because I wrote that down. Bernie changes his sports coat.
See, now that's why I had you on here, because I didn't notice. I didn't pick up on that shit. I'm just like, you know, writing down all the dumb shit these people are doing out in the woods. Like, okay, dead body, run out into the woods. Okay, fuck yeah. Another dead body, let's run into the shed. Hell yeah. Daughter's missing, let's just go frantically screaming somewhere. Awesome, got you. Well, good eye. I'll have to go back and see that now. Jason sizes up his next target, which is the rest of the teens of the house. Melissa is making out with Eddie, still in hopes of making Nick jealous. David and Robin, who you may have seen in a shit ton of Skinamax and USA Up All Night films.
Were they really?
Yeah, the chick that played Robin, I forget her name right off.
What her name was Robin, right?
With USA Up All Night, any of them chicks, man, you may have seen any number of them chicks.
I'm sure I have.
See, her name's Robin. Let me see if I can track down her name. Elizabeth Catan. She looks familiar. She was apparently a secretary in the movie Twins, Spy Hard, Vice Academy, The Exotic House of Wax, Vice Academy 5.
Vice Academy was the same guy who
Vice
did
Academy 6. Wow. Yeah, that right there tells you these are Skinamax movies. A lot of tits.
No,
Dr. Alien, I remember that one. That was fucked up.
Vice Academy was the same guy who did Hobgoblins. You ever watch Hobgoblins?
Back in the day, not recently.
Okay, listen, go to YouTube and check out MST3K and scroll down for Hobgoblins. You will not be disappointed.
Man. And all came on the 80s, 88. Oh, holy shit. Okay. I got you. So this reminds me of like Ghoulies. It almost reminds me of Ghoulies.
It's a B movie. It's terrible, but it's fucking hilarious.
Ghoulies was pretty bad too.
Ghoulies was bad.
Let's see. So David and Robin are in the bedroom getting freaky. So why the fuck did Maddie think that David was outside?
I don't know.
He's in the house banging Robin. She goes outside looking for this asshole, and he's banging Robin upstairs, but whatever. Jason spots a nearby van where the black kids, because let's face it, their names don't really matter. That's what I wrote. That's what I wrote while I'm watching this shit. They're also getting freaky. It's like everyone's hormones
everyone's getting fucked.
Everyone's fucking hormones are freaked up, and like, you know, except for the dead ones. And Jason starts to shake the van, and he lures Ben outside. Oh shit, I just scrolled too far, didn't I? There we go. Nope. Scroll too far. Goddamn control arrow. There we go. Where are we at? Okay. Jason starts to shake the van and lure Ben, who I wrote in quotations is totally not a black guy's name, but whatever.
He's totally not. He's totally.
See,
not
I'm the one that's gonna make these fucking jokes, man. You won't see this shit on the escape pod. Playing it safe. What up,
dude?
Escape pod?
This guy has less testosterone than Prince. Okay.
Carlton Banks. I would go Carlton Banks. A little bit, yeah. Okay, Carlton Banks. Yeah.
He is Carlton Banks.
But he lures
He's
he
Lamar
Ben
from
outside
Revenge of the Nerds.
Oh, don't do that to Lamar. Don't do that to Lamar Latrell.
Lamar was the shit. I don't care what anyone tells me.
Lamar Latrell. That's got to be on the list too. Holy shit, that's a gem. Let's see. But he lures Ben outside the van and crushes his head like the long lost Von Erich brother. Holy shit.
Dude, it wasn't okay when I watched.
Did you see that? The Iron Claw?
No.
Jesus Christ, that was a fucking sad movie. That was a super sad movie.
Really?
There was a post just before I watched it. There was a post and someone said, "I haven't watched it yet. No spoilers." Like, dude, it's a biopic. Everyone dies. We already know what happened.
Three of them are dead, right? There's one left.
I want to think 4 of them died. I want to think 3 in the film, but they kind of merged 2 of the brothers together for some reason, for content or continuity, or there was some big thing behind it. Because
how many brothers were there?
Because I know there was Carrie, Kevin, Michael. Oh man, I get confused because the one brother wasn't even a brother. Von Erich.
He was a cousin.
He wasn't even related. He wasn't even blood related.
Oh.
So we got okay, Fritz was the dad. Where the fuck? There we go. The members of the family. We got Fritz Von Erich, the dad. We have Kevin, Carrie, David, and Mike.
So it's 4.
And they're not cute. They're not cute people. They're not cute dudes. Not even back then. Not now. Not cute dudes. Carrie was the big one.
Okay.
Holy shit. But yeah, that's a family full of fucking tragedy if I ever saw one.
Who was Texas Tornado? That was Kenny?
That was Carrie Von Erich.
Carrie. Okay.
And I was actually doing my homework too, because back in the day, we had a show here in Jackson, Michigan. This is a long time ago, the Jackson County Fair, and he was on the docket. He actually popped up at our little town, and that was fucking crazy shit, man. Crazy fucking shit. It was awesome. First time seeing a wrestling show, seeing those guys live, it was unbelievable.
Wow.
But anyway, back to the fucking the killing.
Back to Jason.
Let's see. So Ben screams enough to where you would think homegirl would hear it, but I guess the van is soundproof as fuck. I mean, you hear him fucking like.
But he's crushing his head.
You know,
but I was watching
woman.
The movie. They didn't show that. I had to watch that on YouTube, and you see him crushing his head like this.
Yeah. See, that's the cool part. I think John Beekler was talking about how he had to go through so many cuts of this movie to get a not an X rating because of all the gore. First time I met Kane Hodder at a convention, he was selling like the bootleg DVDs of the outtakes, the stuff that they cut out. Okay. And I didn't think it was really that bad, especially today, by today's standards. But whatever. Yeah. I mean, now look at Art the Clown pulling intestines and shit out of a teen in her bedroom, ripping her scalp off and shit. But whatever. I thought it was pretty tame for a Friday the 13th movie, but I'm not the MPAA. Bunch of pussies. Let's see here. So, typical woman nagging every second she can. Kate, again, not a black chick's name. Shit, even her real name, Diane, doesn't sound right. But she rolls down the driver's side.
Kate.
She rolls down the driver's side window and she leans out to call Ben. Jason can't take her nagging anymore either. Grabs her by the head and jams a party favor in her eye socket. That was probably one of the most comical kills that Jason's pulled off.
Yep.
Back in the house, Melissa, realizing her ruse didn't work to make Michael jealous. Not Michael. What's the guy's name? Nick jealous. Shuts down Eddie and left him with blue balls, which I'm not sure about that with all them tighty whities that he's got rocking.
I don't know, man.
Which now I realize that you noticed the sports coat, I noticed the underwear, so I gotta call some shit into question for myself.
Those
Anyway,
tiny whiteys ain't gonna get anybody later.
Jason cuts the power and makes his way into the house as Robin and David, completely stoned, finish up their activities. David's dumbass gets up to go get some food and drink. Even with a flashlight, this dipshit doesn't notice the blood all over the kitchen floor, but notices a shadow coming up from behind him and turns around quick enough to catch a butcher knife to the gut in what is probably the dullest kill of this movie, I would say. Roll Tide. We got Nick and Tina making their way back to the house to grab Tina's father's gun, which is smart, a loaded gun that's been sitting in this practically abandoned house this whole time.
I love how Nick is holding the clock and he's like this,
Jesus.
like what the fuck is this? Like holding it weighing around, like dude. But he's a kid waving a gun.
Oh, sidebar I wanted to throw in too that I was reading earlier. The actress that played Tina, Lara Park Lincoln, and then the actor that played Nick, at first they did not have chemistry. They didn't like each other at all. It wasn't until the weeks of filming that they kind of warmed up to one another.
Good.
So that's kind of a trip. Melissa manages to sneak out of the house, passing Eddie, who's entertaining himself on the couch. Seconds later, Jason kills his ass by chopping across his neck. At this point, Tina takes off to look for her mom, and Nick goes back to the house. The timing of these events is truly unbelievable. But that's what happens. I want to give Jason super props because he's very tactical in this particular film. No hesitation, no rest period, just boom, boom, boom. Thinking about the location of all the kills. It's almost like he's got one of those mini maps for, I don't know, one of those shooter games where you have, this is how many enemies are left in the house. This is where the closest one's at. Go get them, I know it's a horror movie, but I'm just saying, these random bodies.
Is it in the game that Jason teleports?
Dude, that game is the shit. I don't care what anybody says. I'm bummed that the whole lawsuit thing between Cunningham and Steve Miner fucking took so long, and that game got squashed. They're talking about another one coming out, but I don't know if it's going to be as fun. I really enjoyed it.
I never played it. I heard about it, and I wanted to get it, but I didn't have the system. But I heard that Jason teleported through all the things. That's why he can kill so fast.
Yeah. They have. There's different. They have all the different variations of Jason, which I'm going to sidebar off of that here in a second. All the different variations of Jason, and each Jason has their own strengths and their own weaknesses.
Oh, that's cool.
So, So I'm trying to think of which. I mean, you could probably look it up online, but there's one or two Jasons that have that teleportation power ability, if you will, and it's really
dope.
So when I started playing this game, the girls were old enough to where I was like, okay, I'm going to start introducing you guys to the Jason character. And it was cool because my oldest daughter, Melina, got to a point where she could look at a picture of any of the particular Jasons and know exactly which film that Jason belongs to.
That's pretty damn good.
She'd be like, all right, that's Sackhead Jason, so that's part 2. That Jason's from part 5, but it's not really Jason. That's Jason X. That is Jason from part 7. And a lot of them, I mean, there's very, very little differences that she would pick up on. I'm going to have to get her on here too, so we can go back and see if she's still rusty or not. But I was that was a proud parent moment right there. Let's see. So Robin gets tired of waiting for a snack and goes looking for goddamn control arrow. Robin gets tired of waiting for her snack and goes looking for the rest of her roommates. She ends up in David's empty room and gets startled by a cat. What fucking cat? Has this actually ever happened to anybody in real life? Like you hear a noise, open a closet, and there's some random ass animal.
Did you see like the camera looks down,
waiting on a shelf to jump at you? No meowing, no barking.
Yeah, she shows up.
Just fucking wild.
You see the camera pan down, and there's all this fucking drug paranoia, all these fucking joints, and she fucking fixes her hair. Like, what the fuck? Like, smoke another bone, bitch.
Robin pets the cat and sits on the bed, noticing a pool of blood and then David's severed head. Jesus Christ, man. What a pot trip.
Yeah, man.
But like I said, man, and it's like Jason's an interior decorator, you know. But this goes back to what I said about earlier, no one crossing paths with anybody else until specific times. Like this person's running into this room, this person's running this way. Everybody's in motion, but nobody seems to cross paths until a very specific time, you know. So Jason kills this motherfucker, cuts his head off and takes it upstairs, knowing that this is his bedroom, and leaves it on, you know, leaves his head for his fuck buddy to come across after she finds the cat. Like he knows exactly what, like he's a savant. Like, okay, this is what's gonna happen. Chain of events. Robin's gonna get tired waiting for a snack, and she's gonna run into this room. She's gonna open up the closet. There's the cat. Boom. All right, then she's gonna sit down over here, pet the cat, and boom, there's the motherfucker's head. She's gonna start screaming, and then that's when I come in, like, boom, motherfucker. Well, whatever. Robin screams, and Jason walks in because he's got an appointment. Robin screams, and she gets to go nowhere. She's got nowhere to go. Jason grabs her by the throat and launches her out the window. Now, the actress that played Robin, Elizabeth Catan, really isn't much to look at, and her stunt double in the scene legit looks like Caitlyn Jenner. Like, I don't know if you noticed that or not.
The stunt double was a guy.
That's what I'm saying.
It was a dude. Caitlyn Jenner. Yeah, Jenner. Exactly.
Holy shit.
It's some fucking thick thighs, man.
So if you pause the movie at the right spot, you can actually see a ball sack as this person falls off. But I'm not 100%. Bernie and
man.
Mrs. Shepard. I mean, you know, it's like slow motion, like, whoa. Who falls like that anyway?
You can probably
Bernie
see
and
that
Mrs.
on
Shepard are still in the woods looking for Tina. I'm not watching it again. I've been terrified. I've been haunted by this shit. So Bernie and Mrs. Shepard are still in the woods looking for Tina. Bernie is trying to keep this bitch quiet because he knows there's a bunch of killing going on, and he hasn't figured out what's going on, but he just knows people are popping up dead. Jason pops up, and I swear this motherfucker is pulling a clearance rack of tools from Home Depot with him at all times now, because every time you see him, he's got like a new weapon. And this time he's got a brush hook. There's a brief chase, and Bernie uses Mrs. Shepard as a human shield, which I kind of felt like he was an asshole. But at the same time, if it was me and I had some nagging bitch next to me, I'd probably use her for a human shield too, just to buy myself some time. But that's just me. I don't care. Nick walks in and discovers the house of death. Like at this point, you should be able to smell dead bodies in his house by now. You know, he runs back to Tina's house, but instead finds Melissa because she's still off running the fuck around. She hasn't discovered a dead body or anything yet. Jason makes another trip back to the tool shed. I know, like I'm just saying, like real time, real situation. This is how it would play out. Maybe they all overlook one dead body, but at this point, everybody's pretty much fucking dead now. You got two dead kids in the van. Well, shit, Jason's decorating that whole house, so who knows where the fuck everybody is right now. But he runs back. Jason runs back to the tool shed, and he finds a pole chainsaw to take out Bernie. And I was thinking to myself,
a pole chainsaw.
Yeah, I had to look up the name. Same thing with the brush hook.
Okay,
I wasn't really familiar, but I had to do a lot of Googling to find it. But at this point, like, you know, all these dead bodies, all these implements that are missing from the tool shed now, I said to myself, man, Russell's parents are going to be pissed. Where the fuck are all my tools? Let's see. Tina finds her mom's body and catches a glimpse of Jason on his way back from decorating the woods with her dead friends. Tina follows Jason to the road, and there's a showdown. Do I have the sound effect? Let me see the firefight. Let me see the fucking, where is it? I don't have it. It's going to be campy as fuck now, but I don't know. Where is it? There it is. So they finally get into that showdown. It's Tina versus Jason in the middle of the street. And that's where I cue the sound effect. If it pulls up in time. Come on. Windows 98. There was a firefight. Tina and Jason face off. Tina uses her powers and trips Jason into a puddle. As Jason struggles, Tina uses the power lines to electrocute Jason. Now, apparently, Tina hasn't seen Friday is 1 through 6 because the motherfucker comes back and she runs off. You know, it's Jason Voorhees. He always comes back, dumbass. I don't know why she decides to run back into the house of death, but that's where she goes, back into the house of death. Jason wastes no time and jumps through the window and squares off with Tina again. Go ahead.
Okay, two things. One, when she electrocuted him in the puddle, she goes over here instead of running the wide road. She goes like right next to the woods and he grabs her. Stupid fucking move. I always thought that was fucking bullshit. The second part,
horror movie,
where yeah, because people in a movie theater watching that movie, like, what the fuck are you going? Go the other way. You know? And then when Kane Hodder busts through the glass, his head narrowly missed that stud. So he almost cracked his fucking head open.
Yeah, that's what he was saying. Let's see. Is that the Jason prom pinning Fletch? Where the fuck? Yes! Yeah! Yes! You see it right there. My homegirl Fletch is in the chat. Hell yeah. I could go on and on. I have all kinds of fucking Kane Hodder, Jason Voorhees artifacts in this house. Jason's my shit. As a matter of fact, check this shit out real quick. Can't see it, but
you have Jason on kill on your fucking flip.
Yeah, when I first got into Kane Hodder, it was around the time that Jason X came out. There was an article in the newspaper, and he said he enjoyed playing Jason so much that he got the word "kill" tattooed on the inside of his lip. I'm thinking to myself, dope. I wonder how bad that would hurt. It wasn't too bad. The worst part of that was the tattoo artist told me I couldn't brush my teeth for like a week because the fluoride would draw the ink out.
Oh.
But hell yeah, that's my Jason story.
That's dope.
But yeah, I'm gonna talk about some more of the behind the scenes shit in this particular movie with Kane Hodder here in just a little bit once I finish the rest of this, because there's some good shit. There's some good gems in here. Jason wastes no time and jumps through the window, squares off with Tina again. After Tina launches a couch and a severed head at Jason, great weapon. Tina runs out and collapses the porch right on top of Jason. Now, the porch that collapses on Jason was made out of like balsa wood.
Okay.
And it was like a real heavy porch. It didn't really collapse the way it was supposed to. And that legit came down full weight on Kane Hodder. And he punched, he was able to punch through, and get out of it. Yeah, it's pretty fucked up. Real balsa, there were some real wood, things didn't go as planned. See, like I'm like queuing this up before I even read it. It's great. Luckily, the hockey mask protected his face. Back at the Shepherd residence, Melissa thinks the whole situation is ridiculous and goes to leave. But when she opens up the door, Big J standing there with an axe, sticks it right in her face and launches her body back behind the TV. Holy shit, that was fucking wild. I think out of this film, that was the kill that fucked me up really bad. Because I'm like, okay, Melissa's a bitch, but in the 80s, she's kind of like the stereotypical hot chick, that guys want to get with. And she gets, like, he doesn't even, no kid gloves, sticks this bitch in the fucking face with an axe. And then just launches her back behind a TV. It's fucking great.
The NAPAA, whatever it's called, took out the part where Jason just drives it right into her fucking face. And then you see the cutscene of her throwing her over the fucking TV. Like, you saw that in the DVD extra.
It's fucking brutal.
Yeah.
So I also wrote, not only was this one of the most terrifying things to watch as a kid, but the shot they used for the NES game of Friday the 13th came from that particular scene.
Yeah.
Let's see. Nick and Tina run upstairs. Jason follows, and Tina gives him the what for, launching a light fixture to his head. Jason falls like a big oak tree through the stairs and into the basement. Now, this is another Kane Hodder story. They had built the staircase where they had a section of it that was fake, like false wood. And they had to try and figure out, all right, how many false steps do we have for Kane Hodder to fall like a big ass oak tree into the basement, onto the padding. And he missed it by like one. Like he had just enough room. If he had gone a little bit further, he would have cracked his head on a real step. So, I mean, Kane Hodder's a fucking G. All his stunt work is crazy. Basement. Jason emerges from the wall as Nick and Tina try to escape. And when Jason tries to crush Nick under his foot, Tina uses her powers to tighten Jason's mask and makes it explode off of his face. She wraps electrical wire around his neck and hangs him before dropping him back into the basement. While Tina attempts to tend to Nick, Jason awakens again and drags Tina into the basement with him. Tina hits Jason with nails and gasoline before igniting Jason and a house via the furnace in one of Kane Hodder's longest burn stunts to date. Nick and Tina escape as the house explodes, and it's got to be over by now, right? Hell no. Jason comes back to attack one last time before Tina revives her fucking dad from the lake. Mr. Shepard bursts through the dock, latches onto Jason with chains, and drags him under. Early morning, Tina and Nick are loaded into an ambulance, relieved that after an hour and 20 minutes, it's finally over. This was fucking wild shit.
That was a weak ending.
A lot of the behind the scenes shit. Mr. Shepard was supposed to have more of a zombie-like look.
Yeah.
And I think that they decided that was a little bit too gruesome. So they changed it to have him just be kind of like dirty and mangy. Nothing major. Kane Hodder's fire stunt. Now, if you've read Kane Hodder's book, I don't know if you're versed in Kane Hodder's book, Behind the Mask, Unmasked. All right, so Unmasked, it's a great read. I'm not a super hardcore reader, but I read this particular book 3 or 4 times. It's great. It's so it flows. It flows great. I like learning about who Kane Hodder was growing up, how he got into the stunt business, how he got 75% of his body burned doing a botched fire stunt. I don't think I'd ever want to fuck with fire after something like that, but he's back. But yeah, it's available on Amazon. A great read. Like I said, I've read it 3 times. And if you're like our friend Brady and reading is kind of difficult, there's also the Blu-ray version called To Hell and Back. You don't have to worry about sounding out words, Brady, or looking up words when you're done. What does this mean?
Host annual host annual annual it's a big one.
So yeah, Brady, they got it on Blu-ray for you, bud. And that's it. That's Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood. Anything else you want to add to it? Like
when they're running from the house when it's about ready to explode, instead of running toward the other house, they run to the dock and the house is right there. Like, what the fuck are you doing? And it just blows up.
I think I'm gonna do an episode for that shit too. Like all the ridiculous moves people make in the Friday the 13th franchise. They should be doing this, and they do this. Like I don't know how many times I've seen motherfuckers go upstairs. Leave the house. Go outside. You have more room to, well, whatever. I'm not in a horror movie.
The ambulance driver has a great mullet.
Oh no!
That thing was epic.
Now I got to go back and check out the fucking mullet.
That ambulance, that was the same kind of ambulance.
Great story.
Go ahead.
Another great story from this movie took place down in the South. I think it's Georgia.
Okay.
And there was one night Kane Hodder had wrapped filming. It was like 2:00 in the morning. Kane Hodder's walking back through the woods to his trailer, and there's a guy that approaches him. And the guy's like, hello. are you with the movie that's filming? And of course, he's in Jason garb. He's got his hockey mask on. He's got the whole outfit, you know, and he doesn't say anything. He's just standing there like, well, that's a stupid fucking question. I mean, what the fuck do I look like, you know? And the guy asks him again, like, hey, buddy, are you filming with the film here? Are you with the film? What's going on? And Kane Hodder lunges at this guy, and the guy screams and takes off, tripping, stumbling over himself, you know, takes off. Don't hear from him again. Too. The next morning, John Beekler meets with Kane. He's like, hey, so the local sheriff was supposed to come by last night, and he never showed.
Oh, shit.
It was the fucking local, it was the local sheriff. So on the one hand, I'm thinking to myself, all right, well, that's cool. But, man, what if this guy shot him?
Seriously, man.
Holy shit. But, yeah, he's got all kinds of anecdotes and all kinds of stories in his book, Unmasked. And, again, Brady, they got the movie version, so you don't have to, like, stumble over words, bro. But that's it, man. I appreciate Keith Layman for stopping by, dude. This was awesome. This was fun.
Dude, I had a good time, man. It was just... This is just more nostalgic. Is this the best movie in the series? Fuck no. But is it fun? Yeah, it is.
Oh yeah.
You know? So it's just like it's a regular slash 'em up horror movie, and you know the budget was $2.8 million. The box office it made $19.2 million.
Ooh.
So it made its money back, but it's just like I think everybody was just like falling off the Jason train, you know.
Yeah.
But they wanted for years they wanted Freddy versus Jason, but you know the whole legal battle and everything. But the director wanted, okay, well, how about we do Jason versus Carrie, like something like that along those lines.
And that's how they came up with this.
That's how they came up with that. And really, you know, because he was so bored with the whole Jason killing in the woods. But the only good part about this movie, I think, is just that Kane Hodder and the special effects of the Jason get up, because that's what really stand out for me when I was a kid. Like, you see Jason's spine, you see his kneecaps. You know, I just thought that was so cool.
When she squeezed that fucking mask on his head, and you saw that pus and those maggots and shit like that, and finally it burst off his face, and you got to really see his face. I think this was the film that they said you see Jason unmasked for the most screen time out of the entire series. Wow. He's just ghastly looking, man.
He's not a handsome guy.
Not at all. What do you think about the rumor that Jason Voorhees is a Deadite? Like Mrs. Voorhees brought him back to life via the Necronomicon.
I like it.
Yeah. That's kind of why I wish they had gotten up there off their ass. I mean, I remember reading the comic book Freddy versus Jason versus Ash.
Yeah.
And I think it just kind of ended like, remember if anybody won, but you know, it would have been cool to see like a physical form of that, like on the screen to some degree.
I think that it would just be straight up just fucking fan service. You have Jason not saying anything. You have Freddy spitting one-liners. You have Bruce Campbell just like both of them, like, you know. So I mean, but we have the comic.
Can you imagine writing the one-liners for both of them?
Can you imagine who would direct it? You know,
not at all.
I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know who would touch this.
And that's the big pissing match, because all the three people that own this property, nobody wants to let their guy lose to the other ones. You know, everybody wants to come out on top. And that's why everybody's just like, all right, fuck it. We're not doing it then. I don't care.
Well, shit, you have Ash comes out on top. You know?
I would love to see a novel or something. Somebody. Yeah. But whatever, we're nerds. We don't always get what we want.
We get to a degree, you know, but it's just like our minds are just like, well, what about this? And what about this? And what about this? And the franchises can't keep up. You know, look Look at the 3 Spider-Man movie. That's the movie I still wanted to see. And it was 3 directors, too. It was Sam Raimi and the other 2 guys. And he directed, what's his nuts? Dr. Octopus and Green Goblin. It was Sam Raimi.
Oh,
I don't know their names.
words are hard. I don't know.
Memory.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We're old. We're tired. It's fucking 10 o'clock. Ugh.
My kids are still up. They're outside hanging out with their friends.
My father's still up. Go to bed, Dad. You got fucking work in the morning. I got work in the morning.
Do you really?
Yeah, fucking man.
Fuck. I'm on
No
vacation.
calls. But it's all junk. All the businesses are closed, so it should be a pretty smooth day.
That should be all right.
But hell yeah. All right, man. So before we get out, tell everybody where they can find the Layman's Terms. I don't even know where the fuck you are. You're on YouTube right now?
I've always been on YouTube. Scroll down, you'll see Layman's Terms. It's a picture of a skull wearing a Mega Man helmet. That's Layman's Terms. So follow me. I have 72 videos, I think, already. So I got a pretty decent back catalog. I'm just taking a break right now. I'm not doing anything too crazy. But when I do come back, I do want to do a biography of Howard Stern. I've been wanting to do that I wanted to do that for the longest time. And I just, I had to piece everything together because I was a huge Stern fan back in the day.
Yeah, see, I wasn't super versed. I heard the name and I knew he was like a shock DJ, and then Private Parts filled in a lot of the gaps. But I want to know more about him too.
Yeah, when COVID
I think he's
hit,
calmed down a little bit. If I'm not,
dude, he's a fucking pussy now. Like, it's all about do your vaccines and wear your mask and all that shit. I'm like, dude, you had girls in your studio butt fucking naked. Like, on Halloween, he would paint pumpkins on women's breasts. Like, it's just like, who the fuck are you now, man? But he's 70 years old. Like, he's all done with that. So, but, I mean, back in like the 80s
it's
and
weird.
90s,
It's weird.
you couldn't touch him, man.
Yeah.
It was nuts.
Pig vomit. I always go back to pig vomit. Fucking his boss, Kenny, at WNBC.
NBC.
WNBC.
That was just yeah, I want to try to get that one down, but I'm on vacation next week, so maybe I can get some writing down.
Right.
So, but
Adulting's a pain in the ass, man, because I wish I was like further along with this podcast. This is only episode fucking 56. And our friends at the Escape Pod's got like 250 because, well, Don does all the fucking work. Brady just sits there.
they have Patreon.
But we'll get there.
Like, if I had Patreon, I would just buy alcohol with it. Well,
that's kind of what I do with my Patreon.
Yeah,
I am very far behind on my Patreons of pain. I need to do them a service and give them a full 2 hours or some shit episode next.
I'm looking into getting stickers, but I just don't know where to go. Like,
Maybe
Sticker
tomorrow.
Mule.
Maybe tomorrow I'll get the Patreon open.
Sticker Mule is something cool that Kelly turned me on to, but they want, like, it's expensive. Like, I'd rather just go on Amazon and get like 50 stickers for like $6. I'm like, I might as well just do that.
Yeah.
So,
speaking of things that the friends of the podcast have turned me on to, have you ever listened to the We're Alive podcast? The Zombie World Survive?
No.
Dude, it's fucking wild. So it's an audio theater of the mind. It's your typical zombie apocalypse type of thing. Something happens, everybody's dying, turn to zombies, survival. You've seen it, you've read it, you've watched it, you've played it, but now it's an audio version. And I guess this started back in 2012 or some shit. So I'm still playing catch up. All those episodes back in, I think I'm up to 2015 episodes right now. Wow. But it's fucking wild, man. They're like 15, 20-minute episodes. It's called We're Live. and it's pretty intense. I've actually disregarded all the other podcasts that I listen to, the 25 or so that I have on my. They're just building up in the back catalog. But hell yeah, if you get a chance, check it out.
What's it called?
We're Alive.
All right, We're Alive.
Yep, their website is we'realive.com, and Casey Whalen, I believe, is the one that wrote and produced it. It's a trip.
It's like
yeah, man, I appreciate it again.
It's like old school radio, like when you like the Shadow.
Yeah, like the Lone Ranger and the Shadow, and what other big radio shows back in the day. But yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
I would rather listen to those any day of the week than watch TV. You know, I would rather I was always an audio kid.
Like I said, man, I've completely disregarded. I listen to like 20 other podcasts. ATSW, the Escape Pod, Bill Burr. There's a Dead Meat podcast that I listen to, a plethora of wrestling podcasts. And I'm just like, fuck that. I want to know what happens with this group of people trying to survive the zombie apocalypse. And it's just, you can't put it down. That's what I listen to when I walk the route all day.
Yeah.
It's fucking nuts. They're like 15, 20-minute episodes. Gotta suffer through Ryan Reynolds' voice doing his audio commercials. But other than that, it's pretty good.
Good. The one show that I was interested in listening to was the
all right, man. Well, I appreciate you again, like reminiscing. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was listening to the Kelsey Brothers podcast. Don't ever listen to that show. I love the Kelsey Brothers, but they're just fucking boring.
Who are the Kelsey Brothers?
Jason Kelsey and the other one who's dating Taylor Swift.
Oh, those assholes. Yeah, you don't even have to say anymore. I'm good.
Well, Jason Kelsey around here is a hero, so.
As soon as I said it out loud, I'm like, wait a minute. That's that Taylor Swift asshole, isn't it? Yeah, fuck them. Fuck them. God damn.
But
all right, man. Well, I appreciate you stopping by. I enjoyed reminiscing over this. Like I said, Friday the 13th is my shit. Kane Hodder's my dude. This was a fun movie. This is one of my favorite Jason movies. We'll have to get back and do another one because I still have 1 through 6, and then I've got the remake.
You're gonna do the remake? Are you really?
Freddy versus Jason. So we're gonna hit it up again.
You're gonna do everything. Yeah. I really appreciate it. Thanks for reaching out. We'll have to do this again when it gets like. Now you're getting into the good ones. You know, you went through all this shit, and now you're getting into part 6, which was good. Part 5 was.
It was different. It was different.
It was different. But then you get to part 4, which was really good.
But after a while, you got to change it up because after part four, they like killed him off. They're like, all right, what do we do now? How do we bring him? Wait a minute. You guys killed Jason in the 4th one, so what the fuck are we supposed to do with this next movie? So it had to happen. You had to have some weirdness.
Yeah. So anyway, I really appreciate me coming on, dude. I really, honestly, I really like your show. I really do.
I appreciate it.
Don't change a fucking thing.
I appreciate it. I always worry about am I engaging enough? People listening?
No, fuck them. No, just
I appreciate it.
Just put out your content, and that's it. People will listen. I listen. So
I appreciate it, man.
You're in my wheelhouse, man. So take it easy, okay?
All right, man. You too. You guys check out Layman's Terms on YouTube. And you'll catch the podcast with Payne next time I do an episode. I don't know when the fuck that's going to be. We got adulting and shit. But be excellent to each other and party on, dudes. Peace out. See you guys later.